as well just wait for him.
Yeah.
Okay, we're ready.
So it's HDMI?
Yep.
With a USB.
This is a mini HDMI.
Oh, mini.
Yep.
Alright,
Alright.
remember that now. But it still didn't come up. No, I mean before. Plugged it back in, it didn't come up, so.
He must have wiggled it just
So
right.
you gotta slide it over.
Are you ready?
I don't know, are you ready? Now we're ready.
Alright. We'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Motion Derby and a second from Smith, approve the minutes and agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Consider for approval Forest City Chamber requesting entertainment and beverage garden to be in the courthouse parking lot July 17th and 18th, 2026.
Hello.
Yes, yep, I sure am. I'm Zaranaga Stahl, with the Forest City Chamber of Commerce. I'm on the board of directors. I apologize, our executive director is on vacation right now, so it's just me. Yeah, we're looking to do putter brush entertainment up here this year. I just feel it'll be a lot more connected to the community if we were, downtown and a lot closer, similar to what was done here in Right Rye. So our plan is for our stage to be set up on that cross-section road of W and S Street right out here. And then what we would do is kind of all the viewers of the concert and the beer garden would be in the parking lot, just to the north side of the front door is kind of what we were thinking. So one of the biggest things that we would, ask of you guys is obviously the parking lot on Friday. We would be, getting our stage in and getting set up. We have a concert on Friday night that they would be doing sound check for, probably at noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, somewhere in there. Concert will start with the beer garden opening at 4 o'clock. And so obviously, having access to the parking lot would be one thing that we'd be looking for on Friday, and then obviously on Saturday as well. So that would be on July 17th and 18th. So that's kind of what our thought was. I don't know if anybody has any questions or.
So where has it been set up before, just for clarification?
Down by the fire station, in that area.
Well, I kinda agree. It feels disconnected down there from the rest of the activities and vendors and stuff, and, one request I have, do you have any way to add one more week into the month of July? To insert, it goes head to head with our county fair.
Right.
And that's always been a challenge for both, it kinda takes away from this one and takes away from that one. And I know like, July Jubilee is the week before probably, because the 4th of July is on a Thursday, I think, and yeah.
They had 1 year where the two weren't on the same weekend and the attendance at both events was up. I mean, it just makes no sense to have.
For
Have the rally this year?
I don't 100% know that.
no, they've gone on the road with it.
Yeah, road show, I'm pretty sure.
They go around the country having it different places now.
Yeah. And I totally agree with you guys. I don't know if any of you guys know me or my upbringing, but I've been a fair kid my entire life.
Yeah.
So honestly, up until I was in my adult years, I had never been to Pucker Brush in my entire life, and I live here in this community because I was always at the fair every single year. I will say this is my first year on the I've been on the board of directors. This is my first year on the Pucker Brush committee. So that is definitely something that will be talked about. But coming up this year, this calendar year, everything was kind of already set in stone before I got aboard. So it was kind of.
And I think they had probably said it before they found out there wasn't going to be a rally.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's something they need to look at without the rally hanging over them and planning accordingly. Then it might be something to seriously look at.
Yeah, I know our the Friday night band was booked a year in advance. So it was one of those things where it kind of just had to be on that weekend because we had already booked the Friday night band was booked before last year's Pucker Brush. Because it's not quite like Brothers, and it's they've been at the surf and have sold out the surf a bunch of times, and so.
What time frame? Do you need the parking lot?
Well, we would be hoping to get the parking lot somewhere. I don't know if it would be easier just to do it, all day, or if there's a certain time. We would want to have access to the parking lot. Our stage is coming in at 9, and again, the stage actually isn't in the parking lot, so I guess we wouldn't need the parking lot at 9 a.m. But it might be easier for them, turning around and doing things like that if there was room at 9 a.m.
In the afternoon in the parking lot, you want to have to kick people out that are already there. That's going to be it.
Not closed off, so none of us
I
are
think
here
so.
to employees and
Out here, it's easier access for, older people and stuff that are coming to the courthouse.
Probably,
can definitely send them.
and put it on our on our Facebook page and our website that there will be no parking on the west side. So if you're coming needing the elevator, it's going to be a little challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
The other thing that we were kind of hoping to do, and I'm not sure how much it would affect any kind of property or anything like that, but we are hoping to have it as kind of a obviously with the beer garden we have to have a closed off area. So one of our thoughts at this time was even possibly like one of those small like I don't know what you call it, the snow fences type of thing, the garden fences, and putting one of those up. I don't know that would be something that would need to be like state with grass or anything like that.
That we'd want you to coordinate with what Kevin Pedersen.
Okay. Yeah, no, and like I said, that's just kind of what has been talked about, because I all rocking off streets and stuff like that was codes. Codes have been a big thing, but we had talked about possibly doing something more reinforced than cones, but of course we would let you guys know ahead of
Then
time.
you can check IDs on the way into the facility then and control it.
Yeah, and for at least Friday night, we are also going to have a cover on Friday night, and so that would allow us to kind of control that too. So
Okay.
So you supply porta potties and all of that
Yep.
stuff.
Yep, and then all that stuff will be brought in by us and supplied by us, and then obviously the beer garden is something we're working through as well. So all that stuff will be done by us. So yep.
All right. Well.
You're lucky I didn't say what I thought.
I
Well,
think trash is always an issue too, at least it was at Ragbri, but did it get solved this
I
last
I was
driveway?
here the next morning at 6 o'clock, I think, and we had very little trash to pick up at that point. Somebody'd already done their job, and because that was me and my wife and two other volunteers, and we picked up a little out here mostly, but not much over there, and so it was handled well, I thought.
Okay, good.
I thought the whole system worked pretty good too.
Awesome.
Other than the one broken window, but we just got that fixed last week, so I think we're good.
Where do we have a broken window at?
Right down here.
Oh, really?
Assessor's office.
One of the bicycles, I think somebody.
But they
it
took care of it, so.
Yeah, like I said, that would be one of the good things about if we are able to put up the fencing to kind of keep people away from the actual building and the structure.
Well,
itself.
there's just way too many people last time. You hope for that many people this time, right?
Right. With Reg Bry, obviously, there's a lot more people with Reg Bry than will be with Pucker Brush. We're all, like you said, I hope we have the same amount of people as Reg Bry, but that's something that's not probably feasible. But yeah, that's hopefully what the fencing would do is kind of keep people controlled to the parking lot and then to the street. And away from the building, away from monuments and things of those nature. There would really be no reason for people to be behind that. And so that's, again, kind of hopefully what we're using the fencing to kind of help control some of that stuff. So, but yeah, trash, all that stuff, we'll make sure that that's a point of emphasis, because obviously, keeping the grounds nice and neat. We want this to be a partnership where this is something that is successful and happens all the time, and not just 1 year and then we leave there's a mess and then it doesn't happen again type of thing. So we'll be cognizant with the trash and with everything.
All right. Well, like I said, if you could coordinate with our maintenance supervisor and on everything, that would be good. I'll make a motion to approve the Forest City Chamber's request for entertainment and beverage garden to be used in the parking lot, July 17th and 18th, with the parking lot closed on that Friday and Saturday.
I'll second.
A motion from Derby and second from Smith to approve Forest City Chamber using the courthouse parking lot July 17th and 18th. I guess, is that Friday, is that the 17th?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you, guys.
good luck.
So we're not concerned about liability or anything.
They have their own insurance for that.
Do we have a certificate of liability insurance from them then?
We can ask for it, but they've always had it.
Yeah, what do they call that? Dram shop or whatever they gotta get for the,
They'll get the dram shop through the city and
As long as all that stuff's in
yeah,
place.
as long as they fix the windows.
they have the.
Must not have broken it too bad if it just got fixed. This must have been cracked.
It's just a casement window that.
All right. Then we'll move on to auditor's office. We'll discuss drainage matters.
I don't have anything to say.
Anybody else? Well,
Well, that was easy.
then we'll move on to Scott Minders, engineer, will discuss secondary road matters.
Got a couple things to mention. We have our opening in Forest City. Phil's last day was Friday. We're hoping to have interviews this week, so we're moving through the process. We have talked a little bit about grader replacement in this coming budget. So we got some quotes for a couple different machines and quotes on the trade prices for two of our machines also. So we'll be working through that, and once we decide what the best decision is, we'll bring that to the board for approval.
You said trading two machines?
Well, we've been trying to decide whether to trade our oldest machine that's in the standby position or the machine coming off of full-time status that's newer and lower hours, with the idea that maybe that one will have a significantly higher trade-in value, and we'll just try and, I guess, limp along our older machines in standby and maybe try and trade those up a couple thousand hours at some point. Turns out the value in trade is pretty close between a 2012, 2010 machine with 10,000 hours compared to a 2001 machine with 12,500 hours. It's like significantly different in age and notably different in hours, and the trade value difference is about 15,000.
Are they both, well, the one's not all-wheel drive, is the other one?
One is and one isn't. The older one isn't. So again, you'd think this is a far superior machine in terms of, you know, the market.
Does the construction market, do they not care about the all-wheel drive then?
I would think that they would favor it.
They don't get out in the winter as much, you know, and
Well, these electronic behemoths we've got nowadays, that's why the engine in my semi built in '92 is worth more than the rest of the truck, because it ain't got all that computerized crap on it.
Could be something to that.
so are we,
About a 25-year-old machine. Not that it can't be a good machine still.
yeah, I imagine
There's
you want,
less to go wrong with them, because you got all the electronic problems nowadays on all the machinery. You still got the same physical stuff you've always had to fix, and now you've got the cost of keeping all the electronics working. And I don't know what is, like Cat, what do they charge just to hook up their computer to one?
I'm not sure. I know it's like $600 just to get them to come from Mason Holder.
Yeah,
I've talked
We
to,
have the computer to do all that.
you have your own computer to hook up to.
I've talked to somebody from another county, and they tend to run them longer and just buy the extended warranty.
Yeah, I mean, a couple different schools of thought. I mean, we have more or less $50,000 to $60,000 machines in standby, and they are running currently, right? They're in good repair, but one of the transmission or engine goes, and it's probably could be $50,000 to replace it. So we'll be deciding whether to replace the machine or fix it or that kind of thing, like we've done with some of our older mowers that are completely used up, you know.
How about that program where they completely rebuild it like new?
Yeah, we've talked about that for sure. I don't think that we've had a new enough machine with high enough hours where we felt that was the right solution. It's like by the time they need to be rebuilt, 12,000 hours, even more sometimes. They're 25-year-old machines. So are we trying to get, we're trying to get 40, 45 years out of a machine?
Kind of curious
Yeah,
what,
I mean, so makes you think, do we want to have a standby machine that's from 1985?
Rather than buying a new Peterbilt, there's a place out in, I think it's Sioux Falls, that takes them completely apart all the way down and rebuilds them back up, and it costs less than.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked to Brown's Equipment about that exact process, and they'll do a full rebuild, they'll do an engine rebuild, they'll do whatever parts you want, they'll paint or not paint, whatever. So we talked about that, but if you had if you put 10,000 hours on a machine in 3 years, you probably would have a rebuild program, just like a quarry would have. But the machines, by the time they're ready to be rebuilt, are so old here that it doesn't seem to be the right fit. But it's also hard to, I think it's hard to find good 8 to 10,000 hour machines to try and sort of trade out just to get our hours down in our standby machines. It's just try to find a good used pickup rate.
Yeah.
It's like they're either all the way used up or they're just out out of a lease program, so they're out of warranty, but still expensive. A lot of options.
So what kind of extended warranty, I mean, how long are warranties that you can buy?
I would
You can
assume
almost get warranties for anything.
whatever
They
you
know-
wanna
they
pay
know-
for.
They know what the analytics are. It's, they know how to not lose money on warranties, so that means they're always
Yeah.
taking advantage of you in some way.
Sure.
They're in it to make money, so they've got it figured out.
So it's like, are we, we can take a $75,000 risk with an old machine. We can probably afford that risk.
Mhm.
When it's in the middle of a snowstorm, I mean, we'll think about that differently when we have a machine or two down and we're, don't have the reliability we need. That's the trade-off.
Yeah.
When they go down, what is it usually? Is it mechanical or electrical?
Anything.
What happened the year we had 3 go down all at once?
Almost death.
That's part of the electrical in a sense.
Well, and then if we sent the transmission off to get rebuilt. What's the other one? Combination of things, I guess.
Mhm.
So when will we see those numbers, Scott?
I can send you the quotes now. I guess we haven't really done much for processing, and we're gonna work through a few scenarios and do a little bit of life cycle cost analysis and see what presents itself as the best solution. Maybe the next couple weeks we can kind of work through that.
Okay. Anything else for secondary roads?
That's all I got.
Scott, did you say you were gonna do it in this fiscal year, the change, or next fiscal year's budget?
It's next fiscal year's budget, but we will likely have to make the approval this fiscal year.
Yep, gotcha, okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Will that require, a public hearing if we're gonna commit something for next year, or,
Not if we don't do any financing.
Okay.
The entire purchase is in the next fiscal year.
alright, as long as we can get it done that way.
All right. Is there anything for open forum that you didn't give us already?
Just, no, we have everything.
I got some phone calls and texts on recycling. They were asking if only board and plastic. Because they must have gone over there and said it wasn't taking glass and metal or cans.
Who wasn't?
I don't know if it was just full. Have you looked at it lately?
I was there last week. It wasn't full. I got mine pushed in there and there was still some space, but, I had all of it.
Okay. They,
Yeah, you would think they'd have to tell us before they start not taking something.
Maybe they were there on Friday and it was full at the time or
oh,
something.
maybe.
That's where we suggest we just, have a provision to put it in a bag or
That's
Yep.
what I did.
some weight on it underneath it so it doesn't blow away.
That is what I told them. Not that they have to put everything in bags initially, but just bring some bags with in case they
Yeah.
need it. And then as long as we were talking about that, do we have the numbers that we had requested from him for
Tonnage.
tonnage?
Oh, I have no idea.
How do we get-
Carla said something to him, I don't know.
I mean, we know how often he dumps it. It's
Mhm.
usually once a week is what he dumps it, so sometimes it's, heavier traffic and sometimes it's not. But, I guess you could estimate how much that thing holds, per week and
I just thought
times
that was
52.
part of the,
Yeah,
that was part of the agreement that we should get to see those numbers,
kinda at the point where I really don't care anymore as long as they do their job. As long as they've got this so messed up, and who knows, maybe EPA will be changing all the
They
rules
might
and
change it all.
it all goes away.
We might
don't know.
have to go with the Saragordo recycling
Recycling
program.
has
Well,
been a
that's what everything,
thorn, hasn't it?
Last I knew they didn't have one.
Okay. I know you look at it because you're over there.
we're just doing our due diligence according to the code of Iowa, and that's all we can do. At an
Maybe we
affordable
should
cost.
print that and laminate it and attach it to the dumpster over there so they can read the code.
They don't read the sign we got now.
Strategic plan for recycling.
Okay, that's all I had.
You wanna do number 7?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we could probably squeeze 7 in here. We got a couple minutes yet. Not that all of us care. A couple minutes here or there.
That's this one.
Consider for approval resolution for budget amendment. Back to it.
Oh, that's right. Where did it go? Under the pile somewhere?
I never saw it.
There it is.
Something in addition to it.
Okay,
I forgot to do it last week.
okay, so
Yeah, it's just from,
I'll just read it. Resolution to appropriate money for the 2026 budget amendment. And whereas on February 24th, 2026, the Winnebago County Supervisors did adopt the county budget amendment for the fiscal year 2026, and whereas the Board of Supervisors shall appropriate the amounts deemed necessary for each of the county officers and departments during the ensuing fiscal year as provided according to Code Section 331.4346 of the Code of Iowa. Now therefore be it resolved by the Winnebago County Supervisors that the following amounts are hereby amended and appropriated.
There's more sheets.
Yeah, there, it was what we approved last week,
Last
Yeah.
week, yep.
so that's all there is to it.
They were just-
Just the second part of what we did last week.
I'll make the motion to approve the resolution for the budget amendment.
I'll second it.
moves from Smith and second from Derby to approve the resolution for budget amendment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. 9:30 a.m. Rob Nelson to discuss driveway with possible action.
Hi, Rob.
Hi.
So you met with Scott, right, out there?
And so him and I, we went and looked at the driveway, last week. And, kind of determined what it looked like in a semi pulling out of there and in there. And so previously the driveway was, I believe, 110 dimensions. And then in 22, when I added the wet bin and moved the dryer over here, I asked to extend it to the west so I could access the one setup. And so at that time, I think Eric was in his position. And
He's in our office too.
oh, is he? Okay. And we kind of determined to put the driveway in, expand it to the west, and see what it would look like after it was done. And we did discuss a couple things, like maybe pulling some out, or just kind of see what it looks like afterwards.
Does it have a culvert under it,
Yeah, it does.
the whole length?
And, so we got the driveway and stuff added on in the fall of 22, probably the first part of September. And then I moved the dryer in and we used it, of course. And, so maybe part of this is my fault that I didn't follow up, but we got done with fall and I was more concerned in making sure the dryer and the blower all worked. And I kind of forgot about it until I got an email a few weeks ago thing that we need to talk about this driveway again.
Do you have a map of it, Scott?
Yeah, okay, here's a couple maps. This is, I think that's 22 or 21 imagery, and then this is, sorry about black and white, but this is current.
So as you can see, it's up by the road, but when I bought the place in 2006, it was only 4 acres, that acreage was. And so where you see the bins in the shed, that was all grove. And so when I started farming, I started with that machine shed, and I built that machine shed there because that was the only place to build it on that property at that time, because to the north, it all slopes downhill. And then later on, in 2016, I built the big bin there. And I left that there until I was able to finish it with a wet bin and dryer. Now, if I would have known that I'd ended up buying the whole farm, everything would have been moved and rearranged and differently. But at the time, that was what I had to deal with.
So it was 110 and now it's at 183?
181, I think.
I was just looking at it.
Or yeah, 183, yeah.
How is that as far as, is it all pretty flat through there then, or?
Yeah, it's not, it isn't, you know, if you go off of my ditch in front of the house, in front of those evergreens, you know, it's probably a couple feet up to fill that in.
But I mean, as far as is the road pretty flat going by there then?
No, it slopes down.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't call it like a 3-to-1 slope, but I mean, it does go down because the shed and stuff is lower than the road. So I don't really have any, like Scott and I looked, it's not really a safety issue. It's not a water problem.
You can see both ways pulling out down the road. People can see you pulling in.
Yeah. I mean, when we pull out of this place, pulling in is better, but you know, towards the east there is the hill also, but there is enough room. I mean, you do gotta look.
I just always compare the one up, the bin site up on the hill where everything got filled in on 160th. That one always tended to
That's a washout.
wash out, and it was kind of a, I don't know.
This doesn't have that much slope.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah,
The lay of the land.
I went and looked at it, and it just doesn't. I can't imagine that there's going to be a lot of washouts there. What do you think?
I don't think it'll cause any washouts on the road. In this case, he'll get the brunt of it. Which is one positive thing in this case.
Mhm.
I think it's worth me mentioning this. Give me a little more background. We had a permit from '09 for this, maybe original driveway widening into the machine shed. And then it looks like the conversations with Eric were in 2022. And at the time they talked about taking the 110 feet of existing and moving it further west so that we weren't being too hard on about the existing width, even though it was out of compliance already. But we were going to allow them to keep that and move it further to the west so that it serves things better. And it appears that those conversations broke down and were not revisited. And then Eric noted a few years later when he happened to be by there that the bin pad was under construction. And, you know, we don't patrol the roads looking for driveway work happening. So So the reason he wanted to move it was one reason to service the bins better, but two, because of the hill where where the house sits to the east a bit prevents good visibility. But being a pre-existing driveway, we aren't usually having people rip out driveways unless we can find a better solution. So I guess we were in a position to try and work with them on moving the driveway and keeping the existing width.
In
And that-
2022.
2022, and that's where we had left it. I think only really because we have been doing a little bit of survey work and paying attention to this mile that we noticed this driveway had developed over the years.
So what are the criteria for limiting the width of a driveway? I mean, what, just,
So the board passed an ordinance for driveways decades ago. It's a 45-foot maximum width at the property line. And the board over the years has approved a handful of permits for wider driveways. More than half of those cases, I think, are after the fact reactionary because we found that they've been put in without a permit and they've come back to ask for, permission to keep it.
so what's the reason for not being able to have a 183-foot wide driveway? Just code, or I mean,
We have to
I'm just trying to,
look a little bit back into the intent of the supervisors in the 80s, but some of the things that we will cite that can become a problem are every driveway on the north side of the road, usually any driveway with open air is a place where snow can be drifted worse than others. It also causes issues where it's flat or when the driveway doesn't slope down, gullies along the edge of the road. What else did we say? A bit of a practical matter, since a lot of people would prefer to have 200-300 feet along their acreage, that's just wide open driveway.
so there's rules though on how far apart two driveways can be as well.
Yeah, the way our ordinance is written is you get 1,000-foot spacing, but the intent is to allow for two driveways on a 40-acre tract, for instance. So we have been flexible about the spacing issue as long as they're not trying to cram 3 driveways where there should only be 2. So it's more about the limit of the number than it is the spacing. We have a lot of driveways that are real close where there's drainage ditches split in the field or a house or an acreage or separate properties. They're all often pretty close together. Some of them can cause drainage issues. Those culverts can go bad. A lot of the culverts that have been put in for driveways are not to standard and didn't get the proper inspection to say you gotta replace it. Somebody rolls a single wall plastic pipe in the ditch and builds a driveway. That happens all the time. So that's why we've gone away from allowing private individuals to install driveways. The joints are often not coupled, not wrapped. The pipe is often used and smashed. And so that's the starting point that we're getting with these driveways. So 5-10 years later, whatever, what do you think they're going to be doing? They're going to be leaking, sucking material. They won't be taking water. They'll be damming up the ditch. We're just trying to get a little bit of consistency out there in the standards we hold individuals to for their driveways.
Did you look at this culvert?
From what I can tell, one end has single wall pipe, and we talked about that. That needs to be replaced regardless of what we end up with for width.
Because it'll be loaded semis that will be going in there and it's just too heavy, or
Yeah,
won't hold
that's not
up,
the
or?
kind of pipe that's recommended for this application. It's a stretch for us to allow plastic at all, I think. When when we build driveways ourselves, we always use metal or concrete. But we have talked 100 times, and not we as the board, but maybe some, but internally about whether or not our rules are appropriate and making more work for ourselves, trying to police some of these non-compliant permits and non-permitted driveways. It's not something we really like to spend time.
It's that one culvert's been in there for 20 years, you know, that we looked at.
Yeah,
So that
so,
was part of the original.
The
yeah,
problem with the culverts when they put in single wall and junk tile is then 20 years down the road, then they're like, well, it's in the right of way, it's your guys' pipe to fix. So they put in junk 20 years, yeah, it made it 20 years, that's cool, but then now we have to do it right, so should have done it right the first time.
Well,
How far could we have made it?
the person that's gonna have the problem with it if it fails is Rob. He's gonna be the one who's gonna have the big dip for his trucks or whatever, and it may not be a problem too. It's,
But when it is, then we have to fix it.
But,
Well, is there
what I'm gonna say is that, right here, today in writing, we'll get it in the fact that he says that he'll be responsible for it, and anybody, and then he'll have to dig it up.
That's what I was thinking. Since he's out of compliance, that'd be the only way we could put some leverage on him that he has to replace if it fails.
Right. Problem is, like for us, is how where we gonna look for that in 50 years?
Yeah.
Well, it's gotta be put somewhere in a file that
Accessible.
has this, particular issue marked on the file. So,
So, yeah, I guess what I'm asking, Scott, about is, I was just wondering if at all possible, if I could leave it, because when you look at the picture here, you can see that getting into that machine shed with, you know, like bean heads or corn heads or whatever, pulling that big chunk out is going to make it a lot more difficult to access that
Yeah.
machine shed. And then in the fall, sometimes we'll park semis in front of that shed, you know, out of the way for the bins, and it works so much easier for the truck drivers just to pull in off the road and park than to make this big swerve around.
Well, I think I agree with you. That's the only way it's gonna work in your situation there, but I just wanna,
And if, you know, like Scott and I talked about, if there was a water hazard or a safety issue, you know, I think we would just figure something out that day, but since there really isn't, I guess I'm just asking if it's fine, if I can leave it the way it's been for the last 4 or 5 years. However it's-
Do we have a way to make notations in our secondary roads easement, you know, that says that Rob will take care of any issues that will be, because it is out of compliance, even though we approve it, possibly today?
you're fine with that, right? Taking
Yeah,
responsibility for the tile underneath there, or the culvert?
I mean, it's only gonna benefit you one way or the other
Right,
in the future, so.
no,
But if you don't wanna do it until you have trouble with it, hopefully it's not in the first part of November and you're trying to
Right.
get in and out of there.
yeah.
and I would say that, you know, you're still required, if you're gonna have to replace it, you're still required to work within the right of way. You have to get, their permission to do that too,
Sure.
right?
But the-
and an approved contractor.
And then the financial part would be on you though.
Yeah.
It may never go bad.
Yeah, I mean, some counties have transitioned in recent history to returning responsibility for the driveway culvert to the landowner. It's sort of countywide. It's an interesting move they made. And that would, help with some of the back and forth we have with people about what culvert can be allowed or not.
Maybe you should look into what other counties have and maybe we can address that in the future.
Yeah, I mean, if every time we have a problem with the driveway culvert, it's the landowner's responsibility. Then we just need a process and, process in place to be able to hold those landowners accountable to get it replaced. That doesn't come without fights either, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you could have the situation in that case where if they're responsible for it, they could downsize it so that their neighbor's water doesn't run through it as good.
We still have oversight on that, what the minimum size is.
Yeah.
Well, almost every situation is gonna be individual anyway. I mean, I had one in the last year, you know, that you guys need to come out and approve or disapprove and put flags in. I mean, every situation is gonna be.
Yeah, you got that one on R50, is what, I don't know, is that about an 8-foot culvert they had to have right next to the DD1 ditch, if he's gonna replace it, coming off, DD1 lat
What
one.
you're talking about. Everyone's different, but we have, at least at this point, we have objective criteria that we can hand off to a technician, Eric, to review objectively. But anything unique has to work its way up the chain.
Well, you were actually out there and looked at it.
Yeah,
It doesn't create a safety issue.
my main concern is just fairness.
Yeah.
So, I'm not gonna have any sort of red herring arguments about this. I think it'll be fine. It just makes it difficult for us to move through the process of approving driveways when we have these odd ones out there that everyone knows about and says, what about that one?
Got something you wanted to say?
Is the board willing to entertain increasing that maximum restriction? I know we did one a couple of years ago where, you know, we were hoping, not knowing the rules at the time, you know, to be able to have enough driveway on the top of a hill, so there were no sight problems, where you could pull a semi in, leave it on the driveway, hard gravel, stay out of the field on those wet falls when you're just gonna make a mess on the road and a mess in your field. And I said, no, we're limited to 45 feet, you can't swing a semi in there and leave it parallel to the road. You know, you wanna let it, I don't know what you need exactly, 90, 80, 100, something like that. You'd probably have, if the farmers were responsible for it and able to do it, more than a few of us put in wider driveways where appropriate with the engineering blessing if you up your maximum regulation.
I know one place that's worked when we were farming, the potato farm on 110th, is it? There was one on top of the hill that we could just park the semis at an angle heading out, and auger wagon would come around and dump, and it worked a lot better than parking in the field. They turned around in the field, but
Empty, it's a lot easier to
yeah,
do that.
yeah.
Also, I thought that'd also be nice, but then the problem is in the winter. If you look on a normal winter, anywhere a wing is right there and it just piles up in the driveway, and that's the drift across the road.
Because there's no ditch for it to go into.
But
Until the ditch is full anyway,
yeah,
and then it wings anyhow, so.
Right.
And the ditches are the first thing that fill up usually, so.
But you can look at a lot of driveways and there's drifts there just because there is a driveway. So all of a sudden, if you have a 45-foot drift and you make it to a 180, that drift just got bigger. I see perks to both of them. Yes, we're keeping equipment off the road on those light years, but what's gonna outweigh each other? You're gonna fight it more in the winter, and
I think everybody's gonna want one on every field,
oh yeah,
you know, we would.
yep, we would too. I fight my own dad on it, so I think the
We'd have to
winter
be
outweighs the.
even more scrutinizing about the locations.
Right, how it's gonna affect us.
And that's not something most driveway installers are willing to take our payments on, unfortunately. So I guess, you know, we need to have some unity on it. And we also need to find a way that we don't go to the board every time.
It's a little different when it's, going into a field where there's not gonna be any activity the rest of the year and you could have a drifting issue. In this case here, whatever you guys wing over on that, he's gonna be removing anyway, cause he don't want it there. So,
Yeah, it's different than a
got it, yeah.
I think that one I was referencing measures about 100 foot.
It's not unique in the county by any means, but you won't find any permits for this.
The equipment has changed a little since you say in the 80s when they made this?
I don't know the date, but it might be.
Maybe it was this driveway that caused it. I don't know, I think if you wanna look at what other counties are doing and maybe come up with a report on that we can look at and see how we can handle it. I still wanna have oversight over it to make sure we aren't having the wild, wild west on it and causing problems. But I think we need to work with our farmers on things.
We like that you built a shed and a bin that we can tax.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And like I said, if I would've known that I'd had more ground around it, I'd have
Yeah,
put it on
it was
there.
kind of the
Also,
perfect,
further part of
Yeah.
that, but, you know, at the time,
the way
that's
it
what
is.
I had, you know, so. And that road, you know, there's probably maybe 5 cars that go by it a day, and that's the neighbors going to and from work, so it's a very quiet country road, I mean, there ain't.
You keep, like when they go by, if they wing snow up in there, you usually remove all that snow, do you?
Usually, if I'm gonna haul corn or
Yeah.
access the shed in the winter time, then I will.
but the water goes to the north from those snowbanks
Yeah, yeah.
anyway.
Cause the driveway does slope down from the road.
Okay.
I mean, it's probably not really far off from the 3-to-1 slope, to be honest. But the further to the west, where that wet bin is, it levels off a little bit, but the crown of the road, you know, it still flows down to the north.
What's your thoughts on it?
Well, I'm inclined to leave it as is. Certainly, the way it is now doesn't pose I don't think it would pose a snow issue or a safety issue, but I do think it would be good to instruct Scott and Ethan Eric to relook at the policies possibly on the width.
But should we have action today to provide a waiver on this one or a special permit on this one then?
I would.
With the caveat that it's up to him to replace the culvert when necessary.
Somehow you're gonna have to come up with a line item in your paperwork
Well,
or,
we can note it in the application that he is responsible for the culvert.
yeah. So if we have that,
The only way to tie whoever owns the land is to record an agreement with the property. I don't know if that's
At the recorder's office.
the recorder's office.
Yeah,
It'd
so,
be unusual and unlikely that we would check there.
Unless we eventually get to the point where everybody's in charge of their driveway,
Right.
then nothing would have to be recorded.
So I think we can,
Tag it for now.
there are gonna be those cases where, especially for snow removal issues, that we're gonna wanna have some kind of input in it. I can't ever see, it being real beneficial for us to allow the responsibility to fall to people that we don't have some kind of oversight on it just for that reason. And I'm all for wide driveways. I mean, it's
Me too.
driven enough truck, and been in and out of enough nasty spots that, but the one thing with farmers especially is that they can hire anybody to drive a truck. They don't need to have a CDL, anything like that during the harvest. And, a lot better to have a wide driveway than to have somebody cut one corner and then have one tipped over on your road and have it closed for a while until they get grain back out there and suck it up. I've even seen guys, I can think of 4 guys that have years of driving their own trucks that have tipped them over. So, I mean, and then when you get guys out there that are, shall we say, less than experienced, making it as idiot-proof as possible is nice.
I think it would actually help so that people aren't trying to load on the road at some point.
Yeah,
You know, that's really
we've done it before,
irritating and
right on the mill road. Just pulled out of the field with a grain cart and had the semi over as far as we could go, and
it's not cool, Bill.
Yeah, that's
not
extreme
cool.
conditions though, when it's really, when the harvest is getting really late and it's really wet.
it was one of those years where it was like, we're gonna have to do it somehow here.
Desperation. Well, I'll make the motion to allow Rob's driveway to stay as is, with the caveat that you make a notation in his permit that he, because it did sound like, that's my motion.
Subject to there being no drifting problems or drainage problems.
That works.
Well, I'll second your motion as stated.
Motion Smith and second from Derby to approve, or allow the driveway to stay the same, with the strings attached. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And then, I guess you guys will have to get something that can, just will have his signature on it too. So,
Yeah, I have a old one from him, but we'll get it, maybe have him initially update. And after we kind of notate what we talked about here. I think I'll get your signature while we're at it, though.
There.
I'll take those air photos back.
You want to keep the pictures with it?
Yeah, I'll keep those with it. Maybe, let me write it up so that you see what it says and everything, and then we'll get signatures.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rob.
Okay. Number 8, discuss budgets. Carla's not here, she's sick, so we'll do that next week.
Unless somebody had some concerns on the budgets.
Anybody?
Because you have approval down here, number 11, so it's gonna be hard to discuss if you're gonna approve it next week.
Yeah,
You're approving
I
it
think she
today.
needs it done.
Oh, does it need
I
to be
think it'll all be tabled, both of those, don't you? Or does
I
it,
think
does it need to be
time-wise,
today?
we need to be, because we have to get letters out to people, don't we,
Yeah.
to notify them?
I believe so.
Those very unclear letters that are
Yeah.
required?
Well, I didn't see anything alarming up to this point, so,
No, I think with the changes, we were good.
no.
Okay, if nothing's been changed.
Well, since the last time we talked, there was the little changes, but that was it. We all got a chance to review those and.
Okay. And we'll move on to consider for approval county claims. I had one I thought looked interesting. RJ Cool Midwest for $22,029.
The jail got a washer and dryer.
Almost sounds like it would have been air conditioning or something. So this stuff hasn't failed on the building yet, has it, or already?
No. I believe the washer and dryer they bought before was just not adequate.
Well,
I don't know the reasoning behind this one. It came from-
I wouldn't.
Was that out of their prisoner funds or?
Well, it's in
So-
there.
So like, do they like, they must need something obviously bigger than what I have at home.
Yes,
Obviously.
For washing bedding and stuff, is that it, or,
and their junk,
one of their
They're,
outfits?
they're orange,
Yeah, but you can do that in a regular grocery, you just might have to do a couple
but there's,
extra loads.
there's lots of them.
there's a lot. So you would have to ask them, I can hold the check,
Oh, I'm sure it's
but
just,
it
But,
was a
trying to see here, so that's
exact thing.
003405
yeah.
I can go get you a claim if you want to look at it, see.
I just wanna know what,
I wanna know what
what's
it
coming out.
was in a sense, because I didn't recognize the RJ Cool at all, so,
Yeah, it was a new vendor,
yeah.
so.
But now that you tell me, it's just, that's,
Actually, it'd
seems
be-
like an awful lot.
It'd be interesting to see the invoice. I would like to see it. That's a lot of money.
trying to remember what number there it is. 0034 1050 2301. That's out of the commissary,
Yeah, it comes out of the,
so,
yeah.
that's
Oh,
all,
it does?
that's not tax dollars.
That's,
Still, it'd be interesting to see what a $12,000 washer looks like.
yeah, oh, yeah.
We determined it wasn't tax dollars.
Comes out
paid
of
for.
commissary.
No, it does, yeah, I know.
Oh,
I mean,
We
it was,
didn't know that.
it was in there,
Yeah,
so it would have said what fund it was.
He
Yeah,
just
you
found
just
it.
I
Look it
just
up.
couldn't remember.
Unimac. I don't have one of those.
no, but I would like a bigger one. You can't wash a comforter nowadays.
40-pound capacity.
Yeah. That don't seem like much.
Don't they usually have them in square
That's
foot?
5 gallons.
Yeah, well, evidently that's the dry weight. Washed comforters in the bathtub before. Kids get a mess all over them, and you take them up in the bathtub and stomp on them for a while.
I'm just looking at that part there. Installation.
Yeah. I install them cheaper than that.
Yeah.
I've even done the plumbing for them.
Guess you better get into that business,
Yeah, evidently.
Missing.
because there's lots of jails around. It's been signed in, but- Where did it? I'll make a motion to approve the county claims.
I'll second.
Motion Derby, a second Smith, to approve the county claims. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Consider for approval payroll claims.
I'll make the motion to approve the payroll claims.
I'll second it.
Motion for Smith, a second for Derby, to approve the payroll claims. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Consider for approval fiscal year 27 budget.
I guess as we discussed before, we think we've done all the tweaks we can do on it. We met it within our requirements from the state. I'll make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2027 budget
I'll second.
as presented.
Motion Derby, a second for Smith, to approve the fiscal year 27 budget. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anything else?
No, just visiting, saying hi, I'm
Lowell, so I'm trying to make my roundabouts. I live in Grundy County, so it was a 2-hour drive, and my wife took my truck, forgot my keys, so I was late.
Oh.
No, you weren't very late, I mean,
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Do you have a card?
I do, I'll give you one.
we could probably just adjourn and then talk to him.
What was that?
We could probably just adjourn.
Yeah, if there's nothing else for open forum or anything, go back to that, and we can adjourn the meeting.
Stand adjourned.
Or we stand adjourned, there we go.
I'll send you copies of that.
Okay.